After death, where did consciousness go? It's completely gone. Will continue to exist in some form. This video is a bit burning. Let's go from a completely new perspective to understand this eternal puzzle. Usually people think, once a person dies, consciousness will dissipate, then fall into eternal darkness. But in fact, there may be some misunderstandings here. For example, usually, everyone probably has the experience of entering a dreamless deep sleep. There will be hours of consciousness at that time, and it will be a blank period. But the key is, we simply cannot sense this gap. After waking up, I will also feel that consciousness is empty. It doesn't seem to exist. Same, people who have experienced general anesthesia will have similar experiences. During the operation, the few hours of consciousness were empty. It won't stay in memory. It can be seen from this. A state of unconsciousness. It's something we can't feel personally. So, that's thinking after death. The idea of being in eternal nothingness. There are contradictions logically, because when we imagine ourselves in darkness, when still, it's already violated this logic. As mentioned earlier, how many hours of total anesthesia, and the time for deep dreamless sleep. For us it is a blank period of consciousness. Our consciousness can transcend these empty. Compare your previous memories with your experience after awakening. Connect smoothly. It is this coherence. Let our consciousness be like an uninterrupted line. From this perspective, death can also be seen as a blank of consciousness. Only, it is essentially different from dreamless sleep in dogs and horses. That is the empty period of death. It's impossible to reconnect again. The continuity of consciousness, it will also end due to death. Then the blank consciousness brought by death. Is it really impossible to cross? Will the continuity of consciousness really end with death? These questions are scientific. There is no clear and final explanation yet. We can use some new perspectives of thinking. Understand relevant researchers abroad. A philosophical thought experiment was proposed. We can imagine, in a world with very advanced medical technology, invented an advanced technology called life design. Can work on the human brain and body. Do any complex transformation. You can even design your personality according to what people expect. Even memory. However, during the operation, will cause general anesthesia. This temporarily causes consciousness to fall into empty and self period. Based on this background, let's imagine a little story. There is a man named Xiaoxie. He was deeply disappointed with his previous life. So I decided to do a life design surgery. Doctor follows his wishes. Made Xiaoxie body stronger. The appearance has become more handsome. The operation ends in a few days. Xiaoxie woke up from a state of general anesthesia. He is now, already have the body I dreamed of. Can start a new life. And in this process, Xiaoxie crossed the blank period of consciousness of total anesthesia. The coherence of its consciousness has not been broken. After a while, Xiaoxie gradually felt dissatisfied in his new life. So he decided to make a bigger transformation. This time he even asked, completely change your personality and memory. Then he underwent general anesthesia and several days of surgery. When he wakes up again, at this time, Xiaoxie already had a different personality, and a new memory that has been rewritten. It can be said that he has become another person completely. He then took it back for himself. A name called Zhende Shuai. Zhende Shuai with a new personality and memory. He also started his new life. At this time, how should we interpret what happened to Xiaoxie? His body. All of the characters have changed drastically. So, can we say that Xiaoxie has become another person? Even if he becomes another person, can you say that Xiaoxie is dead? If we look at it from the perspective of coherence of consciousness. Consciousness before and after surgery. They're interconnected, so Xiaoxie didn't die. Even his body, character and memory are completely different. As long as the continuity of consciousness is preserved, it can't be said that the original Xiaoxie is dead. Here is a point. Consciousness does not mean memory alone. It also includes perceiving self-awareness of emotions and experience. Brain signavl. Age 81 and memory is only part of consciousness. Discussing whether consciousness disappears due to death. Before this view, another key point, that is the existence of consciousness. If consciousness depends on the brain and body, when the body dies, consciousness will disappear as well. Next, you can change your thinking. From the perspective of string theory. Analyze this question. String theory. The world we live in, not as we thought, just a three-dimensional world, X, and there is probably a space of up to 11 dimensions. That is to say, this means, there may be a high-dimensional world that we cannot perceive. Although currently registered, string theory, it's still only at the stage of theory and hypothesis. This is because using existing technical means, we have no way to detect it. The world beyond 3 dimensions, and the string theory itself, it shows high degree of self-consistent mathematical. So it can be said, Theoretically speaking, there is more existence in our three-dimensional world, a world of higher dimensions. This is also because consciousness does not depend on the brain and body. The hypothesis of existence offers another possibility. Nobel Prize winner in physics Roger Penrose in the 1994 book The Emperor's New Brain, an interesting quantum brain theory is proposed. This theory aims to explain what human consciousness is. Penrose believes consciousness, not fixed at a specific location or time, but have a magical nature that can exist in various states at the same time. This means consciousness. It is a special existence beyond ordinary laws of physics, not necessarily limited by the brain and body, although Penrose did not mention it specifically. In what space does consciousness exist? But if you look at it in combination with the theory, the possibility of P&will consciousness exists in a high-dimensional world. Second is worth considering. That is to say, one person after death, it is possible that its consciousness will continue to exist in other forms. On the other hand, 010 there is also a theory that a consciousness after death, it may move to a 2D world lower than 3D. This theory is called the holographic universe theory. Simply put, just like the smartphone screen in our hands, and although it is a two-dimensional plane, but it can display a three-dimensional 3D image. This theory speculates the universe we live in may have a similar structure. That is to say, what we experience in our daily lives, a three-dimensional world with height, width, and length. In fact, maybe it was created by a two-dimensional world, image or something like that. Based on this view, consciousness after death may be back, the two-dimensional world that creates everything. Theory of whether it is a high-dimensional world or a low-dimensional world. They all have one thing in common. That is, there is a hypothesis. Human consciousness. Maybe it wasn't created by the brain, but the universe, a basic attribute that itself. This means consciousness may not be affected by our bodies, the bondage with the laws of physics. Instead, it exists in a deeper dimension. And near-death experience also provides relevant explanations for consciousness. A famous medical expert at New York University Medical Center, Sam Parnia, mentioned related cases. Some patients are in a state of dying, can accurately describe things that are absolutely impossible to see physically, like the self in the room, the face of the nurse outside the room, ward ceiling, and the shape and color of the items placed. These are after their consciousness is restored, can be recalled. This means the consciousness of these people, without relying on body senses, able to observe the surrounding environment. Of course, there is also an explanation that 1 to 2. This is consciousness leaving the body. Things you experienced on your way to another dimension. But no matter what, these theories all imply consciousness may not depend on the brain and body, the possibility of existence. So I personally understand, after death, there may be a very small probability that its consciousness will not disappear. Instead, it exists in some form in other dimensions, or it is converted into some unknown information energy, integrate into the overall structure of the universe. Of course, this view is limited to my personal understanding, not applicable to any scientific viewpoint. This hypothetical view that consciousness will not disappear. For some, maybe it can bring some comfort. If we can truly exist as consciousness forever, that means the essence of life, probably far beyond our understanding of the material world. Death will no longer be the end. It is a transformation or continuation of ideology. This will bring many far-reaching philosophical and scientific implications. If you think more boldly, usually we think that the universe exists first. Then life is born in it. So, is there a possibility that life creates the universe? Or consciousness creates the universe? At first it may feel difficult to understand, but if we think everything, even including concepts such as time and space, all are created by our consciousness, many things can be explained unexpectedly. Whether consciousness disappears after death, with current scientific methods, can't prove it directly yet, or refute the existence of consciousness after death. CALLLL. It is necessary to remind you that the above, it is based only on some theories and assumptions. I hope everyone understands it with an open mind. These views